We did do, like I said, in our year one, we did 1.4 million, and last year we did just shy of 5 million.
Nice.
So, I mean, for a 2-year-old company, we're doing fairly well,
Yeah,
in my opinion. I mean, that's not a bad jump. Now, granted, I would have probably done 10 million if I would have had 10 more salespeople,
sure.
but I just couldn't hire the right people. And we were spending a lot of time spinning wheels. We would get people to come in, basically waste time with them and get nothing out of it. And so, we just spent a lot of time spinning our wheels. Um, so I guess I'm just looking for, maybe it's my program. I don't know. Maybe it's our something that we're not doing properly with them, or maybe we're not giving them all the right tools.
So let me ask you a couple questions. First of all, what have you been doing? Like, how have you been trying to hire people?
Um, Facebook. I've done some stuff on LinkedIn. Of course, Messenger. I mean, that's really the only places that I know. I mean, I'm just being honest. That's just kind
Yeah.
of, or word of mouth. Hey, a friend of a friend said, things like that, or people that we had hired. Hey, I got a buddy that does this too. You know, that's been kind of our avenues.
Yeah. And let me ask you a couple questions for this. So one of the things you mentioned sort of sounded like maybe I don't know if you're intentionally doing this or if you just happened upon these people, but were you trying to intentionally hire existing roof sales reps?
Yes,
Okay. Are you down to not do that?
absolutely. I'm down for
Okay.
whatever. I honestly, I would rather not, to be honest with you, because I'd rather them come in and not have the bad habits,
Yeah.
that a lot of the seasoned guys, as they call themselves,
Yep.
they don't want to conform with anything. It's their way or no way, and a lot of those guys don't fit with what I want to say our culture.
Yeah.
And so, no, I'm down to find them wherever. I
Okay.
mean, I've hired people from servers and brought them in,
Exactly.
and some of them
Yep.
have been my best people. So,
Yeah.
yes, no, I'm up and down for wherever,
Okay.
wherever they come from. So,
Good. Yeah, because that's usually, I don't teach that. Like, you might randomly find some people who are in the roofing business and maybe give them a shot, but I tend to avoid doing that. I would rather hire good people that I can, with my training system, it's so easy to train these people. And then you just train them up and they don't have baggage, bad habits. They're still living on draws from the, previous company and they're asking you for like all that jazz. So, okay,
yep,
cool. So a couple questions here. Do you have a formal office space somewhere?
yes, ma'am. I actually have two of them.
Okay, great. And does it have like a conference room area where you could have tables, chairs, a whiteboard, and fit 15-ish people?
Yes, ma'am. Both of
Okay,
them.
perfect. Last question. Are you cool with a small hiring advertising budget? When I say small, it
Yes.
literally could be as little as $150 up to $450 a month.
No, that's no problem.
Okay, you're set. All right. So that's good. Awesome. So here's the good news. Okay. You're having the exact same problems that everybody that I talk to has. And the gooder news is it's easy to fix. All right. So
Okay.
start out with that, but I'm going to let you in on a couple concepts. So here's the first thing. Okay. Most contractors, when they try to hire like this, they put out an ad somewhere, Indeed, LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever. And it'll say something like, now hiring full and part-time door-to-door commission roof sales reps, average commission 85 to 115K a year, be your own boss, flexible hours, yada, yada, yada. And guess what? Nobody's clicking that ad, Greg. All right.
Right.
You're getting nibbles, maybe 2 or 3 people click on it or reach out to you or whatever every week or two or something like that. But people aren't clicking on it. And it's pretty obvious why when you start to think about it. It sounds
Right.
like a weird MLM get rich quick ad, right? And
Right.
you have to remember the average person in America who's clicking around on hiring sites is the average person who followed the beaten path. They went to high school, they got a diploma, they went to college, probably they went 6 figures into debt, getting a degree in like art. And then they came out and they're like, oh shit, I need a real job, I guess. And they take a 9 to 5 soul sucking corporate job that's not sexy, but it's safe, right? And then
Mhm.
they're not, or they bartend, they wait at a nice steakhouse or something like that. So they're not going to click your make 6 figures in 6 minutes sounding roof sales ad door to door, right?
Right. Makes
Now,
sense.
the knee-jerk reaction, though, is that the contractors will sometimes be like, yeah, but Becca, we don't want the average Joe. Like, we want the money hungry 1099, eat what you kill, self-motivated unicorn. And I'm like, yeah, dude, everybody wants those guys. Do you think that those people are just growing on trees in the hiring market out there? They're
Right.
not. Okay, like unicorn, we call them unicorns for a reason. And you're going to get lucky sometimes and find a couple. But if your
Yeah.
plan to scale and grow your business is specifically headhunting unicorns, quit now. It's never going to work. That's not the strategy. Now, here's the good news. I'm going to ask you a question, okay? And it's not a trick question. All I'm looking for is a yes or a no, okay?
Okay.
Do you think that selling insurance restoration paid roofing is that hard to sell?
No.
No. We are practically giving roofs away to people who
Mhm.
already need them. Agreed?
Agreed.
If you can find an easier sale, please tell me. I'll write a training program for that. Okay. But if we know that in one hand, do we really need to find the Michael Jordans and LeBron Jameses, the unicorns of sales, to be able to give roofs away?
No. Of
No.
course not.
But here's the problem. People feel that way because the gap between here and here is the training, okay, or the lack thereof. Everybody
Makes
thinks that
sense.
they're training people. They're not. They're taking people around. But here's how most roofing companies are operating, okay? Do you have like a grandma or somebody who has like all the best recipes in her head?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Let's just say that in Florida, all right, you're in Florida and your grandma has won the state fair with her coffee cake, all right, for the last 25 years. And you said, Grandma, you have the best coffee cake in the game. There's a big market for coffee cake here in Florida. I want to make my living. I'm going to get rich and retire off of making a bakery off your coffee cake. Can you show me how to make it? And she's like, yes. She gets in the kitchen and she just starts like whizzing around like Mary Poppins, dumping stuff in a bowl. And you're like, whoa, what is it? Well, how much is that? She's like, I don't know, a pinch of this and a splash of that. You're like, what? How much? But she goes, I don't know. It should just look like this. It should be about this consistency. At the end, she has this perfect coffee cake and she goes, your turn. That's how I do it. Follow me. And you're like, was that a half a tablespoon or a half a teaspoon of baking soda, or was that baking powder? Was that 2 cups of flour or 6? Like, grandma has been doing it for so long. She doesn't know what she's doing. She just knows how to do it. She literally doesn't have a recipe. She literally does not know the measurements. She does not know. My grandma's like this. I'm like, how do you make your gravy? She's like, I don't know. I was like, how much though? And she's like, I don't know. I just do it and it looks like this. So baking a cake is not hard. There's literally 5 ingredients in a cake. Okay. But if we do the grandma method, if the recipe's not on paper, it becomes college AP chemistry, rocket science. Literally, right? Even the
Yeah.
smartest class is not going to be able to make the cake. If the recipe is on paper, the exact same cake just became easy bake oven, Betty Crocker's step-by-step 3 instructions on the back box of cake mix. Anybody can do it. And now the question is no longer, do you know chemistry? Do you know how to sell roofs? It's, do you know how to read? Because if you know how
Right.
to read, we dummy proofed it now. Anybody can do it. And now your hiring net is dramatically widened because we've made it so easy a monkey can do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is the entire concept that my system is predicated on and the way that I built it intentionally so that what I just described comes true. Okay. So here's what you're going to do. All right. When it comes to hiring, and I'm going to be dropping some stuff in the chat window here in a second. It might take a second for it to come through, Greg, because again, my internet is a little bit slow. I want to show you this guy and I'll show you a handful of markets. Let's see. How about, I'll show you. Oh, yeah, this is a good one because he gets real specific about his numbers. And here we go. Okay. So here's the thing. Here's what you're going to do. We're going to make it real easy on you. Okay. All you're going to do is literally copy and paste my word for word hiring ad to my recommended websites.
Okay.
Don't
That's easy.
change it. It is easy. Don't change the verbiage, literally copy and paste it. And I'm serious about that because I'm like, look, I can guarantee you numbers based on how I have everything written off of a decade of experience using it this way. I cannot make guarantees to you if you half the butter and double the chocolate chips. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. So you're going to post my word for word ad. And here's what I advertise. Okay. I advertise, and actually, I'm going to tell you something. Any numbers that you see me advertise about my business, I always pick very conservative numbers. Why do you think I might do that?
Just so you're under promising or under delivering, or sorry,
That's
under
exactly
promising, over delivering.
bingo. I dramatically under promise that I over deliver. That way I don't have to give anybody their money back and I get really good testimonials. Okay. Because I blow people's expectations out of the water straight up. So
Right.
I advertise that when you run my ad, you'll get 50 to 100 applicants in the first 2 weeks. I'm going to show you how much I'm under promising and over delivering on that. Okay. So I'm just going to show
Okay.
you a handful of these folks. Do you see this in the chat window yet?
Yes.
Okay, scroll up to Ed. We'll start with him. He's in St. Louis. Okay. So Ed, this is recent. This is just back in March
That's
here.
Todd.
So Ed, he's in St. Louis. All right. So he's like leaving me his whole testimonial there. But he goes, so essentially he's like, holy moly, I had 252 applicants in 3 days. 37 of those people scheduled to interview, 22 showed up. That's really good, by the way. That's over 50%.
Yes.
Offered the job to 10 people, kept 7 out of that group. One person came back with 7 contracts his first weekend. That means after day 4 and 5. This is in one
Nice.
round of recruiting. So that's 1 week of numbers. So remember when you just said I'd love to have 15 people tomorrow? He had 7 in 5 days.
Well, hey, that's a good number.
Right now, full disclosure, I do know his budget. He was a little bit on the higher end of the budget for advertising. He said in St. Louis during that time, he spent $150 3 days in a row and then shut the ad off. So he spent
Right.
$450 to get a 7-person sales team launched in 1 week, and one of those people signed 7 contracts. So
Yeah, I would do that every week for the next year if I
exactly.
could do that.
Yep. It's cool because you don't have to spend thousands of dollars a month on headhunters. You don't have to spend thousands of dollars a month on ads. Like you're just going to follow the exact same thing that this guy did. Okay. So below him is Ryan. It should say LOL. How about I make it up to you stats? So this guy's in DFW, Texas. So this is his 30-day check-in. They only spent $278 on Indeed. That's nothing. Okay. For the month, 383 applicants. They scheduled 80 of those people for interviews, offered the job to 19, 11 accepted, 11 finished training. That's a 100% graduating class from training. And they only lost 1 person after 60 days. That's a 92% retention rate of door-to-door commission roof sales reps in 60 days. That's amazing. Okay.
Yes, it is.
And then I'll show you just 2 more real quick. Todd, just again, different markets, different numbers. So Todd below them, he's in Arkansas. So again, 30-day check-in. He said, we've had over 300 resumes this month. We've hired 4 people, converted 4 canvassers, 2 project managers with your training. And we had 9 new reps start training today. So 17 new reps so far this month.
Wow.
So again, like these numbers are, you kind of made a joke, like if I could have 15 reps tomorrow, but those are actually very realistic numbers if you use the system in an aggressive cycle. And this is what that means. When I say aggressive cycle, it looks like this. Week 1 is ads and interviews. Week 2 is a training class. Week 3, nurture that group that you just hired, but you might run ads and interviews again. Or week 4 is ads and interviews. And then week 5 is another training class, and so on and so forth. Does that make sense? So like,
okay. Yeah, no.
like, and then you might get into what I call maintenance cycle, which is like every couple months you run around to just get a little fresh blood into the mix. Okay. And then Conan, he's out of Frisco, Texas. He's like, well, Becca, I've got 40 guys and gals that have been trained and prepped with RSM. Let's see if we can hit 25 million this year. So they hired 40 people in about a month's time.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So it's very possible. You just have to have the space. And then again, just follow the system exactly how I have it. And then turn up the budget if you've got if you want to get more people in faster. So, but again, that still means it might only be $150 a day for 5 to 7 days a month or something like that if you want to get like crazy numbers.
Right.
Okay, so a couple things with this process. You are not going to do individual interviews ever again. Okay,
Okay.
here's why. It's impossible with numbers of this volume. You just can't do it. And the other reason is, and you need to remember this, okay, at least half the people will not even show up to the interview. Just so you know, we already
Right.
knew that. Like if you're getting a 40-45% show, you're doing good. All right. So it just helps you not waste time. So you might have 50 people apply. You schedule 37 of them for interviews. And let's just say 15 of them show up. You end up offering the job to 12 of them. 10 of them accept, 8 of them show up to training, and you end up keeping and launching out of that group 3 or 4, 5, 2,
Yeah.
like every round is going to be a little bit different, but you just keep running rounds, right? So, okay. So what we're talking about right now is the recruiting machine part of the full system. So that gives you the word for word ad, list of places to post it, the interview script, just follow it. Okay. It's got the compensation structure that you're going to advertise in there. It gives you incoming and outgoing phone scripts, a recruiting schedule. All of that is included. It's literally turnkey there. I have not left any stones unturned. Okay. I give you suggested budgets, like all that stuff. So
Okay.
now what you're going to do is all those people that you just hired, you're going to be putting into new hires training. Okay. So they get scheduled for the following week into your fully turnkey 6-day classroom style formal sales training. This is called the new hires onboarding training. And what that's going to be, there's 3 pieces to this. So you're going to have a trainer's guide, which is exactly what it sounds like. You're training the trainer, right? Then you're going to have the training script itself. So you literally just print it out. It's day 1, day 2, day 3. You just teach off of it. You just read it. Again, it's so easy. A monkey can do it. Like you're just like a college professor teaching the lecture to the class. And then meanwhile, all of your trainees are going to be following along in their own 150-page storm restoration sales training manual. It's like their textbook.
Okay.
So that's what they're going to study, practice, memorize, and role play their word for word door pitches, the most common objections they're going to get at the door, and exactly what to say. They get my word for word, my verbatim sales presentation and closing line. Okay. They're going to learn exactly what I do, what I've been doing for 14 years. I've been in the industry since 2010. I've been teaching it since 2014. So they're going to have exactly my perfected script, do's and don'ts on adjuster meetings, what is and is not hail and wind damage, basic roof side and gutter components, how to do an inspection checklist is in there, how to read and understand insurance paperwork, terms and definitions, RCV, ACV, depreciation, deductible. They're going to have, I also give them a daily, hourly schedule to follow so that they treat this like a regular job, right? And they're not just like, what do I do with my time? Okay. So I'm going to show you some results out of this. By the way, intentionally what you're going to be doing, Greg, is you're going to be running it Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for like 5 hours. Okay. It's not even a whole day. On Saturday morning, they launch. So Saturday and Sunday, which is their day 4 and 5, they're in the field for the first time, all by themselves, autonomously doing inspections and signing contracts. Okay. And then they come back Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for like 2.5 hours, maybe. And that is it for onboarding class. Okay. That's it. And it doesn't matter if you have 5 people in training or if you have 25 people in training, it's not going to take you any extra time. That's what's cool about it. So that's why you can like crank out these batches of recruits really well. And I'm going to show you real results of what happens because people have a hard time conceptualizing this. I'm going to reiterate something. Okay. What I just told you that you're going to be doing with these guys includes 0 ride-along training. There is no hand-holding. Okay. So
nice.
And this is what happens when you run the system. Okay. So, and this is also really recent. He just emailed me this maybe 10 days ago. This guy's in Iowa. All right. So he goes, great news. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. Here's the results in 2 weeks. So he had just hired 9 new people. Okay. In 2 weeks, my 9-person sales team has gotten 113 new clients and approved 750 grand in 55 jobs into the system. And that's just a snapshot of 2 weeks.
That's nice. That's amazing right there.
We love that, right? And that's just 2 weeks. He's brand new. He's just kind of getting his legs under with this. Okay, let's go below him. Josh Kearney, he's in Minnesota. He said, we're halfway through our first round of training. So that means they've only done 3 of the 6 days. We have 2 guys, and from their AHA list, I'll tell you what that is in a second, they have 10 claims between them. That means they signed 5 contracts each on their first weekend. He said they're further along. They're further along than any other training that we've used, and we never even had to take them in our truck. Okay. And then below that, that little skinny thing there, that's actually his email also, that same dude. He emailed me a while later and he goes, okay, he's asking me to leave me a testimonial, blah, blah. And then he goes, between those 2 new guys, one of them is at 1.3 million already, and the other is about to crack 1 million. That was in 5 months.
Wow.
5 brand new. Veteran reps aren't doing that much in a year sometimes. Veteran reps are signing 5 contracts a month, and these brand new reps are doing it their first weekend.
That's crazy.
It's awesome. When you see it in action, you're going to be blown away. All right. And then I'll just show you one more, just shits and giggles here. Okay. So this dude's name's Martin. I can't remember what state he's in. I know he's in the South somewhere. So blah, blah, blah. He's telling me he launched a first class of 3 people. He said out of the 3 that completed training, we had 18 contingencies signed on the opening weekend. That means they averaged 6 contracts each on day 4 and 5 ever on the job.
That's crazy. That's
Isn't
amazing.
that fun? Yeah.
Oh, yes, I would be jumping up and down.
You are.
I can't do a backflip, but I would.
Yep, you are going to be the next person if you just follow the system. I swear you'll be the next person. I take a screenshot like this and I drop it in the chat window, because that's always the goal. And they're not doing anything special except following the system to a T. Here's what I always tell people, okay? The only way that my system will not work for you is if you're the guy that buys the gym membership, pays the gym membership every month, but does not go to the gym. Like, I can't lift the weights for you. Okay. But if you just follow the system, you're going to get, these are not one-offs. All right. Like these are the results. Like this is what happens when you follow the system. It's really cool. Now I'm going to let you in on a couple of things here. Okay. Some of which is proprietary to my system, but I want you to know why these numbers are so good. And the first thing I want to bring your attention to is this. Okay. So you already know this, in sales, one of the biggest challenges is retention of sales reps, right?
Of course. Absolutely.
So when it comes to retention, one of the most important things is the amount of time, like the window of time between point of hire, first signed contract, and first commission paid. It needs to be as tiny as humanly possible, right? So think about it. Like, think about Ed's guy, that dude that signed 7 contracts his first weekend. When he came back into training on Monday, Ed was like, dude, you just made like 13 grand this weekend. Legally. Like, yeah. When was the last time you did that working at the Verizon store or Outback Steakhouse? You know what I mean? So like, these people are not going anywhere. Like, we get them these wins right away, right out of the gate, and they're hooked. They know it works. They're confident. They see the money coming down the pipeline. They're not going to go anywhere. Okay. That's why you see these really high retentions, like 92% after 60 days. But here's a little secret. Okay. So here's how we get these numbers. There's 2 reasons. One, humble brag. Obviously the training is impeccable. Okay. I did a good job writing the training, but here's the main reason you're going to see these numbers. Okay. So during training, you're going to do this.
Okay.
Yep. That's it.
Everything sounds good to me. So, I think we just need to move forward. So
cool. I can get you set up in about 5 minutes. If you're ready to pull the trigger, no pressure, I can get you set up right now.
No, let's do it.
Cool. Let's do it.